Welcome to Phrasal Verb Practice. This is the place to learn real English, one phrasal verb at a time. My name is Marissa, and I'll walk you through this learning journey. Hello, everyone. Trust you're all well. In today's session, we'll cover and practice the phrasal verb fill out. So, let's start with what fill out means. First, we use fill out when we talk about completing a form or a document. When we say fill out, we mean writing all the required information on a form. For example, please fill out this form before your appointment. I need to fill out an application for the job. She filled out the survey online. Now, there's another common meaning of fill out. We also use fill out to talk about physical change. In this case, fill out means becoming fuller or more developed over time. It often refers to the body or how clothes start to fit. For example, he started to fill out in his late 20s. The jacket will look better once you fill out a bit. So, the main idea behind fill out is pretty simple. Something goes from not complete or not full to complete or fuller. Now, let me give you a quick idea of how people understand fill out in other languages. In Spanish, it's like completar or rellenar, and sometimes desarrollarse físicamente. In French, people usually say remplir, especially for forms. In Portuguese, it's preencher. In Italian, compilare. In German, ausfüllen. In Japanese, it's kinyu suru. And in Chinese, tianxie. So when do people usually use fill out? People use fill out when they need to complete forms or paperwork. They use it a lot in official or administrative situations. And they also use fill out when talking about physical growth or body changes over time. Now, let's look at a few clear examples to recap. Please fill out this form before you leave. This is the form meaning. He forgot to fill out the paperwork. That's also the form meaning. You need to fill out an online registration. Same idea. She really fill out after college. That's the physical meaning. The uniform will fit better once he fills out. Again, physical change. Now, let's talk about how fill out works grammatically. Fill out is a separable phrasal verb when there's an object. So you can say, fill out the form, or fill the form out. Both are correct. But here's an important point. When the object is a pronoun, it has to go in the middle. So we say, fill it out, fill them out, and we don't say, fill out it. Typical structure: fill out plus object, fill plus object plus out. When fill out is used to talk about physical change, it usually does not take an object. Now let's practice. First, you're going to hear a short text about everyday life. Then you'll hear another one in a professional or office setting. Are you ready? Let's start. Last weekend started like any other. I woke up early, made some coffee, and remembered that I still needed to renew my gym membership. I sat at the kitchen table, opened my laptop, and started to fill out the online form. It asked for my name, address, and a few health questions. I took my time to fill out everything carefully because last year I rushed and made mistakes. Later that morning, my sister called me. She was laughing and said she needed help because she had to fill out a school form for her son. She sent me a photo of it, and we went through it together on the phone. Line by line, she would read a question, and I'd help her decide what to write. By the end, she finally managed to fill out the whole thing and felt relieved. In the afternoon, I met a friend for lunch. We hadn't seen each other in months. While we were talking, she mentioned how different I looked compared to a few years ago. She smiled and said I had really started to fill out and look healthier. I laughed because I knew what she meant. Life had slowed down a bit, and I was finally eating better and sleeping more. That evening, I cleaned out an old drawer and found some papers I never finished. There was a registration form I had started but never completed. I sat on the couch and decided to fill out the rest of it instead of putting it off again. It felt good to finally fill out something I had ignored for so long. Before going to bed, I tried on a jacket I hadn't worn in years. It fit differently now. I looked in the mirror and thought about how much I had filled out over time. It wasn't a bad thing. It just meant life had changed, and so had I. Great, that was the first text. How many times did you hear the phrasal verb of the day? Now, let's move on to the second text. Monday morning started with a team meeting. As soon as we sat down, our manager reminded us that everyone needed to fill out the new internal compliance form by the end of the day. It wasn't complicated, but it did require attention. After the meeting, I opened my email and saw the same request again, asking us to fill out the document carefully and double-check our information. I spent the next hour reviewing project notes and then began to fill out the form, section by section. Name, role, department, responsibilities. It was the kind of task you don't want to rush. A colleague messaged me asking if I had already started to fill out the form because she wasn't sure how to answer one of the questions. We jumped on a quick call and went through it together, so she could fill out her answers with confidence. Later that afternoon, our team lead stopped by my desk. He asked if I could fill out a short report summarizing last week's progress for a client update. I pulled up the template and began to fill out the key points, focusing on what had been completed and what still needed attention. Once I finished, I reviewed everything again before sending it off. Before the end of the day, HR sent another reminder. A few people still hadn't filled out their paperwork. I checked my files one last time to make sure everything was done. I didn't want to be the person who forgot to fill out something important. As I shut down my computer, I felt that quiet sense of relief you get when all your tasks are complete. It wasn't exciting work, but taking the time to fill out documents properly made the rest of the week run more smoothly. Great, that was the second text, and that's all for today. Thank you so much for following this channel, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.